Kevin Nixon is our first in-studio guest today. Kevin, what was your reaction when you first heard the news about Matty basketball transferring away from BYU?
I was driving down from Salt Lake, and my wife actually called me and said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Well, I'm driving, so yeah, I am sitting down." But,
did you think worse?
Well,
than a transfer
little
from
bit,
somebody at that
a little
point?
bit, yeah. The first thing I thought was something wrong with my family.
Yeah.
Second thing was, she said, "You're never going to believe who's transferring." I said, "Matt Carlino." I said, "You've got to be kidding me." I said, and then first thing comes to mind is April Fool's Day, and she said, "No, Greg Wrubell tweeted it out."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, Greg's a funny guy, but he's not that funny." So I thought this is really happening.
Yeah.
And so it was. My first thought was I was just disappointed because I know what a great player he is and what he's meant to the basketball program the last 3 years. And so I was disappointed because I had pictures of what next season would look like, and Matt was in the middle of it.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
and so disappointed was my first thought, really.
At no point did I envision that this would happen. I brought it up with Dave Rose, just out of the blue, just in case, just throwing it out there, see if anything came back. And they hadn't had that discussion. Then the next day, he comes on. So we have you in because of your expertise with BYU, but you also transferred from Northwestern to UVSC to BYU. What's the transfer? I know yours wasn't the same situation, the graduate degree, that kind of thing. But why? What goes into the process of wanting to transfer?
Well, for me, I was at Northwestern, and I just did not enjoy my experience at all.
You had enough of Rex Walters.
Well, yeah. We left at the same time, so I guess if he would have stayed, but
I love Rex.
Yeah, so do I. Awesome guy. But my situation, the school experience wasn't awesome for me. The basketball experience wasn't awesome for me. Got a chance to play in the Big Ten against great teams, but we were just getting throttled at Northwestern at the time. And I just thought, if I'm going to leave, this is my chance to leave. And I was looking for a place that I wanted, that I felt like I would fit in, that I wanted to be in. And there was nothing at Northwestern that I loved. And so looking elsewhere, I fell in love with BYU and took a visit out here, and the rest is kind of history. So I was really looking for just a better experience. So I think with Matty, I think it's perplexing because I know he's happy here as far as his teammates, the environment. I think he'd be the first to tell you that. So when it comes down to it, I think, the fact that he was kind of relegated to in his mind, a lesser role, even though he's getting starter minutes. I think if you know him and his personality, he's a competitive guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a confident guy. He knows that he can go somewhere and be the guy. And so that, in my mind, that's got to be what he's thinking. I don't know for sure, but if I'm in his shoes, he's a great player. He's gonna demand a lot of attention. You might be shocked at where he goes. He's definitely going to have opportunities to go to some big time programs. There's no doubt. His play, his experience will allow him to do that. And where he goes, I don't know, but I think he's going to be great wherever he goes.
Kevin Nixon, former BYU basketball star and a transfer himself, joining BYU Sports Nation to talk about this Matt Carlino tornado fallout, the shocking in many ways transfer. Some people said that they're not that surprised, but I think the majority of BYU Sports Nation was kind of like, huh? Because of the way that they finished the season. Now, I've been harping on the fact that Matt embraced his role. He did a good job in a tough situation. How did you see it from the stands and from watching Matt when you knew he didn't want to be coming off the bench, but he stepped in and did a nice job? What was your take on that?
I just admired his approach to it. It's a really hard thing to do, to be a starter and then be asked to come off the bench. Knowing, even though that you're going to play starter minutes and you're going to be asked to take a lot of shots and do a lot of things, he was able to handle it like a champ. I mean, he came to practice every day and worked hard. Every game, he had a great attitude. He had fun on the court, and so he handled it great. I can honestly say I'm not sure I could have handled it as well as he did, because he really embraced it. He didn't love it. He mentioned he didn't love the situation, but he handled it great. And I think had it gone a different way, BYU season would have gone a different way. Make it to the NCAA tournament, maybe not. Finish the way they did after starting 8-7, probably not.
He won games for them.
Absolutely.
He hit 8 threes in a game at home. That's something Jimmer never did. Yeah. I mean, there were flashes of brilliance with Matt Carlino that will be missed next year.
No doubt.
Kevin Nixon, former BYU Cougar basketball stars on BYU Sports Nation. If I understand correctly, your son Dalton, part of the recruiting process, included Matt Carlino. What was Dalton's reaction to Matt's transfer?
He was really disappointed. Obviously, he's not going to have an opportunity to play with him, but he loves Matt. I think you mentioned this on Twitter last night. He was one of the first players to come up to him, and he gave him a big hug, said, "Welcome to the family." He loved Matt, and so he's disappointed because he knows that Matt's not going to be a part of it. Dalton's going to leave this summer, and he'll be absent from kind of everything that's going on. But his response was pretty genuine. He was disappointed because he considers Matt a part of his whole process with BYU and part of the family, and knowing that he's going someplace else hurts a little bit.
Kevin Nixon, former BYU basketball player, transferred from Northwestern, went to Utah Valley State College when it was still called UVSC to kind of bridge that gap instead of sitting out a year, and ended up at BYU for the last 2 years. What does this do to a team when you lose a guy like Matt Carlino who was so valuable? How does this affect the locker room?
Well, it's got to be tough. I know that guys will have opportunities to kind of step in, and they will. I mean, you can see the pipeline. There's great guys that are coming, home off of missions. Jordan Chapman, Anson has proven at the end of the year that he's more than capable on both ends of the floor. Chase Fisher's going to be kind of thrown into the mix. So, although none of those guys are Matty and really do what he does, somebody's going to step up and take over and help make the team the best that they can. But those guys have to be reeling, because I know that the guys in the locker room love Matt.
Yeah, they like him.
Absolutely. And he's a fun guy to be around. He keeps things light. He's competitive. He's a guy you want to go to battle with, but he keeps things light in practice and on the road. And I know that when it comes down to it, those guys are going to miss him, and the fact that he's going someplace else has got to hurt.
Yeah. Kevin Nixon, I always want to say brother of David or something. The Nixon boys. We had you both on a show. The Nixon boys. Kevin Nixon's on BYU Sports Nation. Now the question becomes, okay, how do you fill that void? And there had been this big question of, okay, the scholarship situation. And Dave Rose said, you know what? It's probably going to work itself out. Just give it a little bit of time. Well, here we are. BYU has 13 players for 13 scholarships. It literally took 1 day, less than 24 hours. Who runs the point for BYU next year? Anson Winder. Skylar Halford's ran a little bit. Is Jordan Chapman a combo guard that can run it? What do you think?
I think all those guys are capable, and I think this spring and summer,
while Kyle gets back, is what I'm getting
right,
at.
and that would be the first thing I would say is, hope and pray Kyle is ready to go, and if he's not, somebody will step up. Kyle's not going to be practicing or doing anything with the team from now until the fall, so the opportunities are going to be there, and I can tell you this: I've seen Jordan Chapman play a lot. He is
what's he like? I've never seen him play.
He is a super high IQ guy. He's a pass first guard. He can play either guard position, but he's just he's strong. He's just a guy that makes your team better. Seen him play in the AAU circuit, and he's just a fantastic player. He's very mature. I think he's a guy that's going to be able to step in and help out. Anson is somebody else who, like I said before, he's really proven himself. He's an adequate ball handler.
And he played point as a freshman for a time.
Absolutely. So there's guys that have that experience. They haven't had to use them in those capacities here at BYU, but they will turn to somebody, and whoever it is will have a great opportunity to see what they can do.
Talking with Kevin Nixon, BYU basketball star in the early 90s, and now has his son, Dalton, committed to BYU, will play for the Cougars in the near future.
2030-31 season. I'm just kidding.
That's what it feels like.
I know.
Okay, we need to make a point that we don't know specifically why Matt Carlino transferred. I mean, we can speculate, and that's what we're doing right now. But I think the general consensus is that it came down to the fact that he wasn't the guy at BYU and he wanted to be. Is there anything else that you think factored in, or would you speculate that any other conditions factored into him wanting to transfer from BYU aside from wanting to be a starter?
I don't think so. I can't imagine it. If it is, it's nothing that he really expressed or showed.
Yeah, he didn't show anything.
No.
I mean, that one soundbite we played in practice where he's like, "Oh, I'm a point guard."
Yeah.
He didn't want to be pushed to the 2. He knew he wasn't the man, though. Everyone knows Tyler Haws is the man on this team, but he wanted to be unbridled a little more.
Yeah, and
to me.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic because you got Tyler and Kyle who are both very consistent players. An off night for them, they're still fairly consistent. You kind of know what to expect. Matt, you mentioned this before. Matt is so polarizing because he has such great games and has some other games where he's such a streaky guy. And if he's not hitting and he's not making baskets, everyone expects him just to shut it down. But that's not his game. And so,
that's why he's great, and that's his biggest downfall.
Absolutely. Yeah. Quite an enigma, actually. I mean, it's, and you ask the speculation, I don't know what else it would be. I just know that his personality and his talent warrant an opportunity to play and be the man somewhere. And I'm sure that's got to be what he's thinking. If I put myself in his shoes, I wish he was here. I wish he wasn't transferring. I don't know what he's thinking, but I can tell you this: he's a good enough player to play at a high major Division I school and be a great player.
Yeah, and we'll follow him closely no matter what happens.
And I will
next
continue
year.
to root for Matt Carlino. I hope he finds great success wherever he goes. Kevin Nixon, we thank you for the time. Great to have you with us and to bring that insight into BYU Sports Nation.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Kevin.